Hello, everyone. Welcome to another dose. Welcome. Wow, bloopers. I love the bloopers. Wow, change. That's what we're talking about today, and the change of how to be the happiest person you know. And I am so excited today to have Bex Smith in the house and to see so many of you coming into the show right now. Bex is coming in from Australia, but I want to first welcome all of you to the show, all you thought leaders and change makers and stewards of the land. And for all of us, all the people that I interview on this show, if you're new to the show, this is where we really feature people who are putting social and environmental justice in the forefront of their endeavors, who have taken their careers and their lives to the total next level, and who are being completely committed with their time and energy to help make the world a better place. And that comes with really accepting change and dialing into what we're talking about, because I don't know one person out there in the world who doesn't want to be happy or happier. And so I'm going to be sharing something very short from my book, because this is going to set the tone of this conversation. And I also want to share with you that I see so many of you coming in the house right now, which is great. Please feel free to ask questions, share any happiness experiences, because like a pebble in a still pond, our energy reverberates. And when I was 25 years old, you guys, this was one of the highest points of my life and in my career. I moved to Alaska and I started the first organic natural foods bakery cafe in the state of Alaska in 1982. And I'm just going to read you this paragraph, because I want you, while I'm reading it, if something resonates you, I encourage all of you to think about, when were you like the happiest? And I know there's more than one time, but this is a time for me that I feel compelled to share. And I'm 25 years old. I just moved to Homer, Alaska. I'm full of piss and vinegar, and I'm totally ready for change. And this is what happens for me. One thing I loved the most about the cafe was that it was like a party every day, as we mindfully crafted ingredients into nourishment with positive energy. I listened to our customers and our staff, and I looked to them for guidance to make the cafe a welcoming environment to hang out and be happy. With valuable input, we added new menu items, live music, poetry slams, art openings, fundraising events, private parties, catering, wholesale, whatever people wanted. Friday night pizza and Sunday brunch were a great hit. We even baked things that our customers brought in from their grandmother's favorite recipe file, because they didn't have ovens in their cabin in the woods. Diversifying and extending ourselves connected us with the needs of our community, and it brought in extra revenue and leveled up our happiness. There was neither time nor place for a big ego. My success was not measured by the cash in the register at the end of the day or by what was on the balance sheet. I found success and thrived when I served the community and I made a difference in the food industry. I had also found my tribe. Relationship building with the staff was essential. The support of our incredible expanding team, bohemian, woodsy women and men, were a large part of what built the success of the Fresh Sourdough Express. Our warm, mission-driven, earthy eatery was on the rise. It was a dream come true, and happiness and no blues. And so without further ado, Thank you all for listening to that. And thank you everybody who's on the show live. Really appreciated that. But you know, I could read and share so much more happiness. That was from my book, Living Like the Future Matters. And I know some of you on here have read the book and written reviews, and I am so grateful to you, everyone, for that. But for right now, I want to introduce you to the most incredible, one of the most incredible foreigners I have ever met. Bex Smith is coming in all the way from Australia, and we're going to be talking about experiencing lasting happiness. And I don't think there's anybody in here who doesn't want to experience that. But Bex, thank you so much for being here. Bex is known as I mentioned, the cheerleader for change. She is a speaker, a trainer, a body psychotherapist, which I'm going to have some questions about that. She's a counselor, a well-being mentor, a corporate facilitator, and people and change consultant. She's on a mission to help us move through our emotions and to truly experience life's delight. Inspired by nature like myself, her groundbreaking new model, The Art of Yin, combines body awareness and emotional intelligence to bring a more natural approach to emotional health by helping you be self-aware through the ever-changing nature of your emotions. Bex, welcome to the show. Come on, do a shout out, say hey to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
And thanks for being here, recovering from a cold, and really, really appreciate you being here. And you can see her happy background there, you know, and my happy background here, right? So, you know, that's part of it, is like that aura around us. And if you guys look to her, the right and to the left of her head, Bex was here in North Kohala, and she's got a couple of my prints hanging there. She carried all the way back with her to Australia, and I am so honored when I saw you come on. So Bex, before we get into a whole series of questions, what I would so appreciate, and I know everybody here, I mean, that's quite a bio that you have, and you've done so many things, and you have the dimples to prove your smile is genuine. Can you share a little bit give us some background of who you were and how you got to where you are, being this cheerleader of change?
Absolutely. And thank you very much for having me. And I'm having a husky voice, so I'm thinking that it's a little bit sexy and a little bit needed for now. Thank you so much for that intro, too. That is a beautiful segue into who I am, because what I have behind me absolutely supports me in everything that I do. And I work in corporate, I work with individuals, and I work with groups and communities, etc. And I don't change who I am. This is always in my back. It's always got my back, my beautiful things. So that's what I love about my background, is it actually tells the story for me, and people pick out the things that they love to see, or that resonates with them, which is a reflection of me, because we are multifaceted, and we do come from different experiences and places in our lives that sometimes we want to share, sometimes we don't want to share, but we are all our own journey. And I think that's the beautiful thing that Donna's asked me to share. So I'll get into a little bit. Um, my my passion for change has come from being supported by a beautiful mother, and then a beautiful community. So the thing that triggered me, I think, into helping people help themselves, which has been my motto since I was 17, has been with somebody helping me see more of myself and my beauty, and helping me actually find my happiness inside. Because I was um, I was at 17, as some of us are, rebellious, and finding ourselves and really wanting to be all of myself, but not knowing who I was just yet at 17. And so my mum was a community development worker, and I went to a friend of hers to drop off some items for work for her, and I found a brochure. I saw a brochure next to me on the countertop, and it was an angel workshop. And that just opened my life up to completely different things that I wasn't used to. I was used to going out and, being with my friends at the time that were all my own age, but I wasn't open to anything else that was like etheric or outside of myself. So having that next to me and then asking about it, having the courage to ask about it, really opened me up to different possibilities and different opportunities. And she said, I picked that up for someone. I don't know who it was, but it must be for you. And so she gave it to me. And I actually attended the workshop, which was that weekend, the next day. And that completely changed my life because it put me in a place where I found some beautiful women that now have been my mentors for my whole life. And I really appreciate that community connection and that sisterhood as well, too.
So these were, when you say an angel workshop, like what you were talking, saying this was a more of a metaphysical approach to looking at life. So what was the core of the that attracted you to that?
I think it was more that someone thought that someone had something that they thought of me. So the lady had that and said it was for someone and it must be for you. So that chance, so that change of chance. And I always talk about, change is by chance, because you either accept something that comes along or you reject it. And if you actually are able and open to being connected to things that come along, then change can actually be an easy thing as well. So for me, it was more that I took a chance and then I was open to this beautiful community. So the community is the Women's Wellbeing Association, which I'm now the president of as well. So many years later, being able to give back to the community that I have gained so much from is also a beautiful, beautiful thing.
So you're out there searching for new angels.
Indeed. And yes, the Angels Workshop was about, connecting to your higher self and different things like that. But really, I was able to connect to myself through that and community through that as well.
Right. So it's what I hear you saying is just there's signs, right? Being open to these signs, this intuition, and to not say you're falling back on it, but to fall into it into the way that when we sense something, to go into it, and what we resist persists. So you found that at 17, like your spiritual awakening, but it's never too late to have another one. And I feel like I'm starting, the older I get, and I don't know about anybody else on this live, and at the end, if anybody wants to share an experience, but I'm finding that I'm so open to it that every single day, it used to be like farmed days and days apart or whatever, but once you get into that mindset, every day is a miracle. Every day to be grateful for. Every day we have this opportunity to be happier, to have lasting happiness, to just see a feather flying, or like last night, and I just need to share this, but we were out, we have a client with us right now, and she is a doll, but these owls came and they were screeching, like they must have been mating, but, or some kind of whatever it was. And then I had this wave of my parents come flood into me, which was so beautiful, that I was able to connect that and tap into that and feel so grateful for being alive today and every day. So I really, really appreciate that story. And I know that just having this big open heart and this openness to the subconscious, like we've talked about with other guests on the show, it is so important. So talk to us about what it means to be a cheerleader of happiness. What does that look like? Paint that picture for us with you. How do you do the magic, cheerleader?
Well, I love that you've brought nature into it, because of course that is now my biggest reflection, and nature is a beautiful reflection of the opportunity for change. And as we go through seasons and cycles and have that beautiful reflection through, obviously, us all going through into spring and us into autumn, because I'm from Australia, if you hadn't noticed. So the duality of that even is amazing to have a reflection. So the duality of where we live in Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, and that reflected in seasonal changes, but being able to hold something that is so so different. The earth and nature is so amazing. So that reflection for her to hold that is a beautiful reflection for us to hold. So I always turn to nature to help my clients through any change. And so I work with the elements, so fire, air, earth, and water, to be able to bring more of the element that may be either the passion element or the pain element, which I call it. So I have a methodology that I talk through with people, and embody is probably the better word for it, because of my body psychotherapy. It's the embodiment of the elements that I actually help people connect to their body, and then be able to do little routines into rituals. So change their life through what they're doing already, and then move that into something that is more sacred. So sacred strength, and then being able to connect with elements throughout your day, throughout your life, which will bring you back to cycles. So that's seasonal cycles, that nature reflection. So I think that going through any sort of change is really connecting to yourself through that, understanding your emotional self, but really your body is your biggest key. So being able to connect to your body and understanding and listening to your body, and then looking at where you might need some air. Do you need to talk about it? Earth, do you need to ground? Do you need to plan? Water, do you need to actually feel your emotions? Are you avoiding your emotions, or are you getting overwhelmed by your emotions? And then the fire, what do you need to transform? What action do you need to take with that? Where can you bring more fire into your life? So the elements in nature are such a beautiful reflection for me when I talk about change and when I help people through change, because it's very personal.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So if someone is feeling fire, for instance, so how would you guide them through the fire?
So what my methodology does is actually look at where a pain point is or where a passion point is. And so I'm able to do that and work with them through a little bit of astrology, but also through just them having a felt sense of themselves. So if I can use myself as an example, my pleasure point is air. So I love talking. I love being able to share my story. So air for me is that talking element, is that bouncing ideas off people, is that connection to that thinking aspect of myself. My pain point is planning, which is the earth element, setting that foundation. And I say pain point because not because I don't like it, but sometimes I can get stuck in it. And so sometimes I also either get stuck in it or avoid it. So I've got somebody who can really help me ground my ideas and put into motion the foundation that I need to be able to earth it. If you know about earthing, walk it out on the earth, that sort of thing. So really grounding my ideas before then I go into my feeling and action aspects of the water and fire elements. So we all need to, we can all find our pain and passion points. And then if we find our pain and passion points, then we can help each other. So the passion point of the friend that I have is earth and planning. So she loves doing that, and that initiates her energy and her action. So having somebody who has that then helps me move through my flow, and I can find my flow in life, and yeah, keep my happy because I keep flowing through life.
I love that example because like everybody here on here, almost if you don't tell who helps me with, she is my earth, you know, the person who is on every single week with me, who takes care of all the technical stuff and helps me with my social. She helps me with my everything, with my retreats, everything. But that has to do with that grounding, that earth, because like you, I am airy, dyslexic, and a little ADHD. And I think, you know, if anybody also, again, who has read my memoir, you know, I'm real transparent about, you know, I never was able to, you know, do a bank deposit, for instance, because I couldn't write down all the checks. And back then, sometimes we get 30, 50 checks a day, and you'd have to write them all down and balance it out. And I didn't let that stop me. And I think that's where the pleasure comes for me, and this lasting happiness of having my restaurant business with my husband for 37 years, is that we were able to delegate to people who did things better. I always hired people who were smarter and better than me at things that I couldn't do, and just empowering them without, even though I was a nature person, I didn't think earth went, you know, I didn't think like those elements. But I think what you're saying was really became the key to my success. And if anybody's looking to be successful in life or business, is to really pay attention to what Bex is saying here about the passion and the pleasure. And that's that yin and that yang, right? That's that balance. So this body language, you know, this body posturing that you talk about, can you get into that a little bit more, and how we can all learn to tap into that? Like you say your kidneys are bothering you, or you have arthritis or cancer or trouble breathing. I mean, so how do you look at that when someone's has some ailment and trying to break
Absolutely. Yeah, well, you know, my body psychotherapy has really been a gift to me, in understanding that our body is our vessel. Our body is our vehicle in this lifetime, right? And we can choose to ignore it, or we can choose to understand it and really listen to it, because it gives us signals every day. Yes. Every day, every moment in time, it gives us signals. And so to be able to be in tune with your body, and, you know, it doesn't mean you're not going to get sick because I'm obviously got something going on with my throat and, you know, having a cold. And that is a gift, I think. So being able to listen to your body, even when it's in its pain or its pleasure itself, is a really important gift. So my body psychotherapy is really about understanding where in your body things are happening. So for me at the moment, I've got a bit of a chest thing, so my lungs and of course on cue, coughs, lungs and throat. And I've really looked at how emotion turns into physical. And I think that that's a really important part of understanding your flow and change. And that's by understanding your body through change. So if we go through any sort of change, then our body gives us some signals, and that's going to be on repeat, like a cycle. So I look to nature as a cycle, and I look to my body as a cycle through any change. So this change for me that's happening is about me coming out, finding my voice, being more present with my beautiful self, which isn't the way that I know it to be, which is, my everyday and things. So this is me internationally having a conversation with beautiful people like yourselves. And so my body is going, oh, don't do it. It's not what we're used to. Perhaps my throat is telling me that I can't do it. It's stopping me from doing it. So my emotion of being seen and, being felt even, and all the emotions I have around that, because that's not an emotion, that's a reality, but the emotions I have around that are something that I can look at right now and go, no, I really want to step into a new place. What do I need to heal inside myself? What conversation do I need to have that can actually help me find my voice and move through this particular change? And for me, again, it's that pleasure point is that air element. So it's like, of course I want to be talking about things, but that's also something that is the first thing that stops, the throat. If I go through any particular change or want to move into a different situation, then I usually find that my voice is the first thing to go. So the body psychotherapy for me is energy in motion. So your emotion is energy in motion. So keeping your energy in motion, your emotion happening in flow is such an important thing. And that may be different for everybody. So you might find that, you get stuck in some things. So again, I bring everything back to the elements because that is my language. And I think a language that we can all sort of relate to because it's a reflection of nature. So mine is my throat, and that is that air element. But others, it might be stuckness and earth. So how are you going to not feel so stuck and have some really strong boundaries so that you can actually move through things? How are you not going to be overwhelmed with water, that element of water, with that overflow? How are you going to help yourself, perhaps freeze some of those things or put a dam around it so that you can actually then move through that emotion? Or how are you not going to burn yourself out if that's something that is that fire aspect of yourself? If you burn yourself out, then how can you actually keep moving through any sort of change? So for me, it's the gift of your body is the telltale of how you can actually move through change and how you connect into your emotions as well.
Yeah, well, how do we deal with that? How like someone is struggling with the fire of burnout or the water of flooding, and how does one manage to break that cycle?
I think awareness is obviously the first key. So being aware of what's happening for yourself, and that is a self-reflection opportunity and a tool that I have, which is just a simple body awareness. So where in your body are you feeling pain? Where in your body is are you holding something right now? And then your body is
my
the
kidney.
answer.
I feel it in my kidney right now. So what do I do?
Yeah. So in your kidneys, well, that would be, for me, that's that element of emotion, and that's a water element for me. And so what I would do is, tune into your body and say, do you need more water or do you need less water? Are you having too much emotion about something, or are you having not enough emotion about something?
Mm-hmm.
And you're the only one that can answer that. But your body will tell you the answer straight away if you're open to listening to it, obviously. So do you need more or less water?
Mm-hmm.
Feels like you need more water to have a bit of a flush out of the kidneys. So there's elements of your what you need for your body to actually be a healthy body. So I do bring it back to what do you need to be a healthy body, and also what do you need from an elemental piece, which is an intuitive piece. So kidneys, water, flush out your kidneys. I feel like there's a more water aspect for that, and then definitely going through into that fire. And I've done my methodology with a lot of people, and it goes, the flow of energy is through air, earth, water, fire. So if you follow that flow, then you can also look at what's next. So there's fire that's next from that water element. So what do you need to bring in that might actually be a little bit more fire than you're used to as well? So you might need some water, but then how do we actually not have too much water and create some steam so that you can actually then keep that motion happening?
We had the motivation to heal, right?
Mm.
And so there's good kinds of fire. Like sometimes I'm on fire. I just want to learn everything there is about my kidneys, right? Because and I think everybody who's listening to this is older, who's on the live anyway. You know, that's just something very important to pay attention to as we age. You know, getting those kidney benchmarks, so we'll know where your kidneys at, because nobody wants to end up on dialysis. So get on fire and learn about that, all of our organs for that matter, because sometimes, you know, we pay attention to, you know, our appearance and you know, what we see on the surface, but it's those organs that are going to really that are playing that vital role on lasting happiness, because we're happy when we're healthy. And as we age, you know, things physiologically decline. And so it's just a natural process, but at the same time, it can be slowed down. And actually, we can have many parts of our bodies we can also enhance. And like the fountain of youth, and as part of that is our mindset. And I'd love you to talk about a little bit about mindset around lasting happiness, and because that's part of your cheerleading way of approaching change, but and how you came up with the art of yin, which is a mindset. So could you share that with us? Because I would like everybody's level of happiness, if we came in here at a 5 or a 6, to be at least a 10 or a 12 by the time we're over, with some concrete tools of how we can nurture our organs through our physiology. And the yin, the art of yin, I think will help us do that. So dive into that, Bex.
Absolutely. So the art of yin is really based on the body awareness and body intelligence, but also emotional intelligence. And so to be able to activate those two things, I've looked again at nature to do that. So it's very much inspired by nature in looking at the seasons and the cycles of nature, and then looking at the seasons and cycles of our lives. So aging is a fantastic example of how things change in our life, because we actually are moving through a different cycle. I mean, we're all at different cycles of our lives. I'm at a beautiful cycle at the moment, where I'm heating up. I'm going through a perimenopause stage. So my body is activating that fire element. And the fire element sometimes comes on in not so good times. And, you know, I just have to be able to move through that, to be able to exist, and to be able to go about my day. So for me, the art of yin has been a really great tool to understand what elements are triggering in my body through my different cycles as I journey through life. And excuse me, I work with, we are so multifaceted, and I don't need to tell anybody that on the call, because we all know that. But we are made up of elements. So my art of yin is really about us being so much like the nature that, and Donna would attest to that, I'm sure, with the way that we eat and the nutrition that we put in our bodies and all of that beautiful aspect of nature that we have outside of ourselves, that we put inside of ourselves. And being able to understand that we are definitely a part of nature, not only through what we eat and how we nurture ourselves that way, but how we feel and how we connect to ourselves through that innate cyclic lifetime. And I think that the biggest thing that I can help people do with my methodology is, yes, there's lots of things with elements, but it's also that practical piece where I've worked with corporates going, it's actually the air element is about thinking, the earth element is about planning, the water is about feeling, and the fire is about doing. So how can you bring it back to that beautiful thinking, planning, feeling, doing? Those 4 key things to keep yourself moving through every aspect of change. Are you thinking about it? Are you planning it? Are you feeling it? Are you doing it? Where do you get stuck in those pieces? And then being able to actually bring it back to that practical piece, which has nothing to do with elements. And then we start to really connect in with, okay, so what can you bring more of into your life that is connected to an element? And then that's when people go, oh, aha, that's an interesting little routine into ritual that I can do.
This is super cool that you're talking about this. And Bex, you'll have to come on when Cindy Little is on next week. She does this thing called the body code. And it's similar, you know, but it's with 4 instead of 4 elements, which you and I relate to more so. But it's really about looking at, you know, all these different things that identify our personalities, things that you wouldn't even have thought about, to really help you figure out who you are in your relationships in your family, who you are in your relationships at work, who you know, like, who am I in regards to all of this, and realizing there's so many components of what a being can be like, whether they're artistic or athletic is one extreme, or whether they're intuitive or insensitive, whether they're intellectual or creative, you know, and we all have a little bits of all of those things, and there's no judgment, but to just finding all these different ways where we can not box ourselves in, but find a place within where we're comfortable, we're knowing this is a good situation for me. I'm going to be able to help in this situation because I have these skills. I have this know-how. I'm good under fire. I'm better when with the air, expressing, and and knowing when you're not. Like, not everybody's going to get up and be a TEDx speaker, and some people will, and then all of a sudden they realize, well, I wasn't before, but you know, that's really who I am. But somebody told me I couldn't do this all my life, but here I am on the TEDx stage. And then that's where that beautiful change happens. And I think going towards the happiness of all these characteristics is the key to that lasting happiness, not to block ourselves in. Like, because, you know, I may be looking grounded to somebody else because I have more experience online and doing a show like this than someone who's never done it before. I can help them. And then they might just be like way grounded, way more grounded. And so it's not about comparing, it's about sharing and sharing the gifts that we have. And I found, like, with running all the different companies I've run all these years, the greatest gift that I have is knowing where I'm at with all of these elements that you talk about at that time, and delegating where to people who have those gifts that I can't have at that time. Not to say that I can't get there, but I'm not going to pick up the piano right now and be Beethoven, that's for sure. Or, you know, I might start another company and be like a Beethoven company, but you know, that's not what I'm into right now, but I'm writing another book. So we look at where we're at and allow ourselves to change. I think that's what I love about, you know, your philosophy, and being able to see where we're at, like checking in with the earth of ourselves, checking in with the water, checking in with the air, and checking in with the fire. And those are only 4 things. Like, some mornings you're going to wake up and be on fire. And then other days you're going to wake up with sore throat, and you got to just,
And
go ahead.
yeah, I think it's about finding your flow in change, and that's what I help people
Yeah.
with, because it's not just about being in one aspect or one element all of the time. It's about actually finding your flow in that change and keeping your natural rhythm. And that's what I help people, is finding their natural rhythm. So my pleasure point is air, and I start there and I start talking.
Ooh, your voice just, I can't hear you anymore. Isn't that interesting? I think your mic got messed up. We're talking about air. I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Is it me, or can you guys, can someone come off mute? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hear you. Yeah, I can hear you, Mama Donna.
Can you hear Bex?
No.
Yeah, Bex, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I think it's just a mic issue.
Yeah. So, I see Beverly, you're in the house, and Stacy, TJ, and anybody who, I see Alan got bumped off, but anybody, if Bex does come on, I was going to invite anybody to come in and do a little mini session with Bex and her rituals, but I think she is
Hello?
not. There you are,
Oh,
Bex.
sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We lost you there for a minute. So what I was thinking, because we don't have that much time left, and I was thinking we can, if anybody did want to raise their hand, don't be shy, and where you could take somebody through, how people can connect, you know, do a little mini session with you as an example of how that might be. And I didn't know, I thought, Beverly, you might be great to do that. Are you interested in that? You can say,
not today. Sorry.
that's okay. That's all right. Well, I'm fine. And Stacy, I was going to invite you too. Are you interested in doing that?
I'm definitely interested. I have to go grab my charger for my laptop, but I will definitely.
Well, we will wait for you.
Thank you. Okay, one sec.
And Bex, if you're comfortable to just, talk to Stacy, and let's have her share, and then you can share your magic. I'm so glad Stacy raised her hand, so that's really great. So, and Beverly, thanks for being transparent. I love seeing you, and just stay on to the end. I got to show you a couple flowers in Maui, and that'll be really great. And Bex, you're there.
I just wanted to touch on what you said about not having to be the expert in everything, and I think that's a really important point. And that's where I think the methodology helps people find where their pleasure point is, and that's why I call it a pleasure point, because that's where you are going to start and activate your flow through change. And I think the biggest lesson for me was when I was working for the company Virgin. So Virgin, everybody knows the brand Virgin. But Virgin Airlines came to Australia, and I really wanted to be a part of that because it was fun, and that's where I was thinking I find my happiness. And so I started to work with them. But the biggest gift for me was actually meeting Richard Branson and seeing that he, for someone who I thought knew everything and did everything himself, he actually delegates to a lot of people. He's very much an introvert and keeps to himself and has some great ideas. So his activation point is the thinking and really connecting into those big ideas and that aspiration. But he has people to ground that for him. He has so many great people, and he would attest to himself, that activate their pleasure point in the planning and then the feeling into it and then the action, the doing, that fire aspect. So we are beautiful beings in ourselves, but we can't embody everything all at once. So the biggest gift that you can give yourself is to honor your pleasure point, but know that there's other people that have different pleasure points, and activate them, bring them in. It's about community, right? And that was my biggest gift when I was 17, to understand and embody and feel that community. And I think that's the biggest thing that I just wanted to say is, our pleasure point is a point, but there's other people's pleasure points that can help us keep in flow to find our natural rhythm. And the more that we can connect with ourselves means the more that we can connect with others.
I love that. And so it's kind of like the story that I read at the beginning. And we were all working together in perfect harmony and living like it was the first day of the rest of our lives, with curiosity and courage and kindness, to build community. And that's what it's about. But before we have Stacy, we're going to have Stacy come on. And I would love you to just spend a few minutes working through that. I just have a couple of announcements. Like I said, Cindy is going to be our guest next week, and she is a body code specialist and an intuitive, and she has had an incredible tragedy in her life and overcome it, and been very, very successful in business. And she's going to have a lot of insight for everyone. So I hope you guys will come on and hear what Cindy has to say. And we'll be sending you the link to the body code in our Facebook group, so you guys can all do your body code, kind of like what Bex is talking about. I really want you guys to check it out. And then also, we're going to put the link to, if you haven't read the most recent blog I wrote about, how happiness is underrated. And I'm the happiest person I know. And keys and tips on how to be happy, which a lot of it has to do with what we're talking about here today, is just knowing who we are, what we love to do, and what is our purposeful why, and allowing ourselves to be cheerleaders for change in our own lives. Because the more we help others, the happier we are. I mean, that is a law of nature. And that is that symbiotic relationship. Now, Stacy, Bex, are you ready to do a little session with Stacy? Will you? Can I invite you to do that? Cool, Stacy,
Absolutely.
Come off mute, baby. Come on. Hi, honey.
How are you?
Good.
Hi, Stacy.
So great to be here. I'm so happy I came on, because this is something I'm super interested in, and like trying to integrate more of the elements into my life. So I really love how you explained like the earth, water, fire, and air, and like kind of how I'm kind of in 2 elements right now. And I definitely need more like earth and fire. So I'm interested to see more about what we'll do together.
Excellent. Okay. So first question is, where do you think that you have your pleasure? So is it when you're talking to someone or thinking about an idea, or is it when you're planning for it, or is it when you're feeling into it, you feel something really strongly, or is it you just jump in and you just do?
Yeah, that's interesting to think about, because I think a lot, and it doesn't mean that I have more pleasure doing that. I think the grounding, like more of the planning, is actually part of where I find more pleasure. And the feeling, of course. Definitely. Yeah.
There's a sense of me, and this is obviously, I go through a whole questionnaire, and I've got a methodology that I usually use with people when they come on one-on-one, but this is a felt sense for me too, because I've not used it on so many people, but I've used it with so many people, that it feels like thinking and that air element actually is your pain point, because you can get stuck in that. Feels like there's a little bit of a cycle in just the language that you used, and the body language that you actually showed when you were talking about that thinking, where that's a main part that you actually are in. but that's where you can get stuck in. And so that's what I call sort of that pain point. I think definitely that pleasure point for you is down that bottom cycle. So if we look at the, as I said, the air, earth, water, fire, and that is in a beautiful symbiotic infinity sign, I think those two aspects are definitely more of your pleasure. I think you love planning. I can get a real sense of you love getting, a plan together and then really, getting juiced up by putting that into then that feeling aspect. So getting a plan together, setting some really strong boundaries, not feeling restricted, not feeling stuck, that actually juices you up. You don't feel stuck. Some people, when they actually talk about planning, feel stuck, and that's when I know that that's a pain point, and that's me. So I feel like that's the opposite for you when you just talked about, planning, actually lighting yourself up. So you actually lit up when you talked about planning. So I would actually say that your beautiful pleasure point is that earth element, and having more of that earth element in your life when you don't have that actually is when you aren't feeling your pleasure. So going out in nature is important to you. Getting feet on the ground, bare feet on the ground, that's a really beautiful pleasure point for you. And then that pain point is probably you don't like the wind too much. it rustles you up. It actually gets you a little bit more, into your head, and that is not where you need to be. You need to be more into your body and in the earth. So how does that resonate with you, Stacey?
Oh yeah, it definitely resonates with me. And I'm definitely stuck in the air element. And I'm definitely not in the fire at all. Like, I think I need more of the doing and the fire in my life, but I've been like avoiding it for a while or a long time. But I noticed that when I plan something and I follow through with it, that's when I can really find pleasure. But when I'm just planning all the time, then I got stuck in a cycle between like planning and thinking. So it's interesting to think about.
And that's the other aspect to the methodology, is that you can sometimes just go between your pleasure and pain points, and that's where you actually get stuck because you keep going backwards and forwards from air and earth. But you have to bring in those other elements, which is the water and the fire, which you just gave it as an example, is that active part. So to keep your flow is you need all aspects. So how can you actually then bring some of those things in that you want to move through? So my suggestion would be then, if earth is your beautiful pleasure point, then perhaps you can activate that next piece in the water, in the feeling aspect, with maybe a little ritual. So, okay, I've made my plan. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to do a little water ritual. So to keep my flow, to keep moving through that. So just wash your hands with intention. That's a really easy water one. So really being able to like, okay, I've made my plan, let's move that. And then light a candle for the fire element. So bring in that fire element. I'm putting my plan into action. I'm lighting a candle. I'm doing a thing that relates to that with this candle lit next to me. And then when you go into your thinking about it, you'll have a much cleaner, clearer way of actually doing that then. See how that resonates with you.
Yeah, that resonates with me a lot. Especially the like washing your hands. Like I have like a mist spray that I spray myself sometimes, because I'm very like I'm a huge water element in general. So if I'm not honoring that part of my life, I feel like really off balance. And then I just like end up crying like excessively. So it's just like things, I like how you said like the lighting a candle, because then you're actually like physically putting something to action. And I love that. So thank you for sharing.
Pleasure. Thank you for being part of it. Yes. Thank you for putting yourself out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so great. And in the chat, I just sent you a message, and also there's a link to Bex's calendar where you can also call and continue this conversation with her. So I encourage everybody who's on the call or in the Facebook group right now to just check in the chat and make sure Bex's calendar links in the Facebook group. We're taking action here. We're on fire. We're making things happen. And I really, really appreciate you doing that with Stacy, Bex. That was really great. I think all of us gained a lot of insight and wisdom from just how to see how you're working. And, you know, everybody resonates with, we all resonate differently, right? That's why there's so many of us. And you find the right people to work with, the right people to talk to support you, to help guide you. You find that angel card and you go to the meeting and you find your tribe. And before you know it, like Bex, she's the president of this organization that kind of transformed her life into look at her beautiful career and how many people she has helped and continues to help. And getting back to Richard Branson, the whole thing with Richard Branson, you know, when I was really exploring like what is wrong with me, when I was confused like you are, Stacy, too, like just trying to figure it out and accepting who we are. Like when I realized, you know, I'm dyslexic and a little bit ADHD, I started Googling those people who are that way. And Richard Branson and I have a lot in common. And so does Steve Jobs and, you know, Whoopi Goldberg. And these are like the people that I love, right? Robert Williams. So, you know, you really, one thing, and I'd like to just say this, and then Bex, I'd like you to just do some closing remarks, and then we're going to end this chat until next Thursday's Dose of Positivity with Cindy Evans. I hope you'll all be there. But is really nothing is constant in nature except change. And nothing in nature thrives on its own. And if you can leave with those and tie that into the elements, my dogs agree with me. Nothing in nature is constant except change. And nothing in nature survives by itself. It's that diversity, that biodiversity. It's learning how to delegate. It's accepting who we are just because our mothers or our fathers or somebody who has all these anticipations or expectations about you. You know, it's time to get on with our lives and tap into all those things that Bex was talking about earlier, just that intuitive, like really getting in tune with ourselves. So Bex, leave us with some warm, loving, lasting happiness words. Everybody knows how they can get a hold of you, but you can mention anything you want right now. We've got a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to bring my laptop outside and show you some scenery, and then I'm going to head out.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. I just want to say, if the times don't suit in the Calendly, please email me because I can be flexible with timing. So I just wanted to put that out there. It is for Southern Hemisphere timing, but I'm absolutely excited to be working with others in the Northern Hemisphere. So let me be flexible and change with that and be in flow. I think that the main thing that I wanted to just end with is that, you know, like you said, lots of different people have different methodologies that resonate with different people as well. So finding your own way is such an important thing, and finding what resonates with you is such an important thing. And for me, my love language now is elements, and I really, really can see the reflection in nature, and it makes sense to me. So allow yourself to find what makes sense for you. And if, you know, thinking about nature and seeing the reflection of nature in yourself resonates with you, then, you know, my methodology might be right for you. But I think the biggest thing too is to see that we are all a beautiful reflection of nature. So the one thing that I would love for you to take away is just understanding yourself by listening to your body. You are your biggest gift. Your body is here for you in this lifetime. So just allow it to speak through you, to speak to you. And you might go, I'm listening, but I'm not hearing. Just being able to connect with yourself and your body like touch the places that you need to, that are calling you, and it will tell you the story, and it will be a beautiful reflection of what you need. Look to nature as to what's happening in nature at the time, and it will also be that beautiful reflection. And as Donna's showing that beautiful reflection of nature to us, look to that to find the happiness. So how can we not look out to that beautiful vista and not have a smile on our face and think about that sun on our own skin, that beautiful connection to the earth, the wind that I can see rustling through the leaves. Like, connecting to nature is actually connecting to happiness. So being able to look outside, no matter if you're in a snowstorm or in a beautiful vista, really being able to connect with yourself through nature is a gift.
Oh, amen. Bex, you got to get back to the Big Island and come hang out with me on my deck. All of you, I love you all so much. And if anybody has anything they'd like to say, and I'm not sure how far my computer's going to make it to, hopefully I can get out and show you some more nature. Like, there's my, and we didn't really talk about animals and their intuition, but to remind everybody, we are animals, and we have the ability, like they do, to tap into nature. And Bex, I just want to thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest, an incredible human on this planet, and helping so many people with your love language of the elements, and inspiring us all to get back to nature. And put in, I did a little ebook on lasting happiness. You guys can all download that link and enjoy that free ebook if you'd like. And then also Tel's going to put in the Eco-Inspired by Nature website, so you all can see where you can get some of those beautiful prints that Bex brought back with her. Please support us. If you need a gift for yourself or someone else, all the proceeds go to support social and environmental causes. And we are so grateful for you to consider you can get ebooks on my site for like $2.99, and you can also get some of the beautiful prints of nature, because my goal is, through my art and through the words that I speak, to get people, like Bex says, the elements of nature are really, that's where we're going to get that lasting happiness. Because the closer we get to nature, as I always say, the closer we get to our true nature. And aren't these just stunning? Wow. Got papayas growing up there. And for everybody who's listening to the replay and tunes in regular to A Dose of Positivity, I just love you all so much. Super grateful. I got to show you this before I come off. Look at this. This is going to be this big, huge lily. Beverly, we'll have to come back next week. But right now it looks like a swan. Doesn't it look like a swan or a beak? Or so pretty. And there's some of my rose garden. We're turning this into a rose and an herb garden. So, but I love you all. And Bex, you and I will get together after about PayPal and all that. Okay. So I really got to take care of that today. So, Chester's coming with me. And when you come visit me, you can come stay. You were going to stay in the Aloha Cottage right there. So I'm going to sign off. See you all next week. Unless anybody, I'm looking at the chat, if anybody has anything else to say. And Bex, again, thank you for all you do, all you be. And so much big, big love to you.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing me to this beautiful community. Aloha.
They are a beautiful community. Okay, we'll see you soon. Aloha, everyone.